weekend from Miami, where the Rockets get ready to take on the Heat on TNT.
Tonight on TNT, hard hats required. 4 teams in different phases of construction take the floor. The Suns, without a key component, have been forced to assemble a new design. Their ability to stand without this support will be challenged by the Eastern Conference champion Pistons, a team up to code, built on a solid foundation, and engineered using interchangeable parts. But first, Game 1. Miami has erected a strong model around a pillar of strength. Now weakened by a structural blow, the Heat must look to their infrastructure to bear the weight. Tonight, they look to deconstruct the Rockets, a team waiting for a missing piece, but held in place by a substantial retaining wall of their own. The drama builds on TNT tonight.
Houston Rockets break the seal on a 5-game road trip, riding the broad shoulders of Yao Ming. Into Miami tonight, take on Dwayne Wade and the Heat. That's Game 1 of our TNT Double Dip. And it's TNT NBA Tip-Off presented by Nokia. Ernie Johnson and Kenny the Jet Smith and Charles Barkley at your service. Is it really the All-Star break? Almost. Magic's here. Wow, this season's been flying.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, it is great to see you.
Good to see you. Hey, what is wrong with my chair? Why you guys lower my seat? Oh, that's right. That big ear guy was here last week.
Love to get off a shot when the guy's on the road. Outstanding.
He was taking my place.
Magic in mid-season form. Oh, it's great to see you, man.
Good to be here. You know, among my family, my boys and everything.
So a couple weeks in, what are you thinking about the season so far?
Well, to me, it's been a surprise of some of the teams that I never thought would do so well early on. The Los Angeles Clippers are having an outstanding season. When you look at Golden State, they got off to a good start. Milwaukee is off to a good start.
They're going to make the playoffs, by the way. I told these guys, and they're not buying it.
I know. But anyway, they're starting good, and that's good for basketball when some of the teams, and Memphis is playing very well in the beginning. So it's good for the whole NBA when teams you never thought would get off to a fast start is getting off to a fast start.
Some big names, too, early on in the season now. Sideline, Tracy McGrady and Shaquille O'Neal, taking a little luster off what was going on tonight as far as, a Shaq and Yao thing. But how do these teams deal with these superstars out?
Well, Houston, that's very interesting because I think they're the only team got a chance against San Antonio in the West. I'm gonna watch Yao Ming tonight. If there's no Shaquille O'Neal, he should dominate this game. They only got one big guy, Alonzo Mourning, who can play against him. Alonzo's only going to play probably 25 minutes. If Houston's going to, obviously Tracy's their best player, but if Houston's going to go to the next level, Yao Ming has to dominate. And this is a good test to see if he's going to dominate.
You know, the knock on both Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady over the years have been they play well against the Kobe Bryants, the Shaqs, the stars of the league, but they don't dominate the guys that they should be dominating, like Charles just said. So it's important for them to establish themselves and say, you know what, we can win games without one or the other because we're going to take over and we're going to show our dominance offensively.
But I don't understand how you think he can dominate now when he just played against New Orleans and Orlando and he didn't dominate, and they lost both games at home, Houston. So it's blowing my mind. Now he's going up against Alonzo. Now it might not be Shaq, but Alonzo can block shots, and Alonzo is stronger than Yao Ming, so he's not going to get him the position he wants.
He wants that challenge too. You know, Zoe's like,
let me tell you something about Zoe. He's tied for the league lead with Yao in blocks with 4 a game. He's had 12 blocks in the last 2 games, but it's what happened Monday. He got dunked on 4 times. He told his teammates, that has never happened to me before. You guys can go ahead and roast me if you want, because it's not going to happen again. But you talk about the release of the new poster right there. How about that?
Hey, but that's one thing about Alonzo. He's going to go after everything. He first of all, when I first got to the NBA, I said, ain't nobody ever going to dunk on me. After having 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7 times, you're like, no big deal. It's just 2 points. But that's one. He gonna still go after everything.
Give me a big guy who gets dunked on like that. Because if it takes that to dunk on him, that means he's blocking a lot of shots. So yeah, it was great. I jumped out of my seat, but I'd rather have Alonzo back there.
D. Wade said it was one of the top 10 all time.
Well, it was fantastic. But you know the difference between him and Alonzo Mourning and Yao Ming? When Tracy McGrady dunked on Yao Ming was ducking. Alonzo Mourning, he's still going to go after him.
But the funny thing is on that dunk, though.
There's the poster. Look at the commission getting up.
Well, he didn't dunked on everybody this season with that dress code. But to get back to that Vince Carter and that dunk on Mourning was, if you watch the tape, Alonzo jumped, but Vince just hung. When Alonzo was coming down, that's when he dunked it. Only Vince Carter and Michael Jordan can ever do something like that. Most guys, exactly. But most guys can't do that. But to Charles's point, Alonzo, trust me, anybody else this season coming in there, they're gonna end up on that wood.
and if he's thinking, boy, a chance for Yao to dominate me tonight, hold the phone. Let's see if that's going to actually happen. The Rockets and the Heat coming up here on TNT. It is Game 1 of our double dip.
What's that on his chin?
Capacity crowd, better than 19,000, still making their way into American Airlines Arena in South Florida as we get ready for the Houston Rockets and the Miami Heat. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr, Reggie Miller, and Craig Sager. Both teams are out on the floor ready to go. Here are the starting lineups. First, for Houston, Game 1 of a very tough 5-game road trip. And they are without Tracy McGrady, sidelined by back spasms. Yao Ming at center, Juwan Howard, Ryan Bowen up front, Rafer Alston, the one-time member of the Miami Heat, and Derek Anderson in the backcourt. Miami Game 1 of a 4-game homestand. They come off the loss in Indiana last night. Dwayne Wade with what you'd have to call an unconventional triple-double, 29 points, 11 rebounds, 10 turnovers. Turnovers a big problem for Miami last night. Alonzo Mourning in the starting lineup for the injured Shaquille O'Neal. And the officials from left to right, Tony Brothers, Mike Callahan, and Kevin Bear. An intense looking group, I'd have to say.
I would not argue with any calls tonight. Look at that crew.
Well, you remember the old movie The Warriors? Look at that gang that's out there. Not smiling. Man, are they ready to officiate tonight?
Come out and play.
Well, the tip controlled by the 7'6" Yao Ming, and this is Rafer Alston trying to lose Jason Williams on a pick. Here's Anderson. Try to set it up, and last touch by Miami.
Well, each team trying to adapt to life without their superstar. Tracy McGrady obviously out, Shaq out, and Houston to this point has really struggled scoring the basketball. Miami can't take care of it.
And here's Juwan Howard giving the Rockets a 2-0 lead. Jeff Van Gundy telling us earlier, although McGrady was expected to sit out 3 weeks because of the back spasms, might return Saturday night for the game against the Nets in New Jersey.
Well, Steve and I came over early, and he was already lathered up from working out. So that's a good sign for the Rockets, especially if he can get back by Saturday.
Yes, Rockets saying that he had a very good workout. Alonzo Mourning. And Alonzo has played well in the absence of Shaquille O'Neal, but an intriguing assignment here going up against the 7'6" Yao Ming, and a traveling violation is called.
Well, the guys at the studio talked about it. Alonzo's not going to back down from anybody, and I would say these guys probably have not faced each other much because of Alonzo's injuries over the years, but strength really bothers bothers Yao Ming more than anything. Strength and speed, and I think Zoe can give him some trouble here tonight.
Just underway here in Miami. Wade with the setup. Mourning not able to handle it, and back comes Anderson. And Yao Ming not able to make the catch.
Well, I didn't think I would ever see this. Yao Ming beating Alonzo Mourning down the court. But good intentions there by Derek Anderson to try to look ahead and get Yao an easy 2.
Just not a spot that Yao is very comfortable being in. Running the floor, catching the ball on the run near the basket. That's tough for him.
Antoine Walker off of 6 of 16 from the field last night. Shot clock down to 5. Down to 2. And a traveling violation call. Not a good-looking possession by the Heat.
No, this team has struggled to find an identity. Remember, they were searching for it anyway when Shaquille was in the lineup, but without him, you can see what's happened is they're trying to find some rhythm, a lot of dribbling. Dwayne Wade, the last few games, has turned it over. As you mentioned, Mark, 10 last night in Indiana, so not much offensive flow to the game for Miami.
But when in doubt, give the ball to Dwayne Wade and let him take the ball to the basket. I think that was a little bit too much dribbling by Jason Williams right there. Dwayne Wade really has to assert himself early in this ball game.
Anderson, once again, he feeds the post. Yao Ming rejected by Mourning.
Oh, my goodness. That looked like a left-handed dunk coming. Yao had great position, terrific post feed from Derek Anderson. Looks like it's a left-handed lay-in, and Zoe knocks it into the fourth row.
All about timing right there for big men in blocks. And Alonzo Mourning, as well as Dikembe Mutombo, great timing for big men.
Anderson forced it. Here comes Williams. That got the crowd going here at the start. Alonzo averaging 4 blocks per game, and pass again, and another Miami turnover.
So one thing Stan Van Gundy talked to us about this morning, he said we've got to take care of the basketball. We've been terrible this year, turning it over time and again, and right away they're having trouble.
Now this time, Yao getting excellent position.
Well, he got his shot blocked the previous time, but you see the position where he's catching it? He's catching it in the charge circle. So if he can get positioned like that all night, it's going to be a lot of trouble for Alonzo.
And you love the fact that Yao, after getting blocked, goes right back to the rim. And another good post feed here. Yao establishing position. Juwan Howard right down the gut, and love that. Yao goes right back at it. Don't be intimidated. You know Alonzo's going to block some shots. That's what he does, but you've got to keep attacking it.
Howard on that last foul. How about Miami? 3 turnovers, their first 4 possessions. Wade off the mark, rebounded by Howard, and here comes Alston. Anderson played by Wade. Alston gets it inside. Well, there's no question about the intent of Jeff Van Gundy and the Rockets. Keep feeding it down low to Yao Ming.
Yao has to get between 35 and 40 touches tonight. That doesn't necessarily mean he has to shoot it that many times, but if he can get the basketball that low, that's great position for the Rockets. Points in the paint. It's premium.
Here is Wade on a catch and shoot. Yao on the rebound. Good outlet. Anderson, but Miami gets back as Anderson puts it on the floor. Met by the double and a bad pass. Here comes Wade. Wade looking for Williams, and Mike Callahan, the outside official, calling the foul on Yao Ming.
Well, Reggie, not only are points in the paint a premium in terms of feeding Yao Ming, but fast break points are going to be rare tonight. The Van Gundy brothers, neither of them is going to send many guys to the offensive glass. They both put such an emphasis on defensive transition, not giving up anything easy. I think 85 points might win this game tonight.
Walker for 3. Well, Dwayne Wade able to find the wide open Antoine Walker.
Always a plus when your best player can take the basketball into the teeth of the defense and have one of your better perimeter shooters spotting up, especially Antoine Walker playing the 3 position.
Yao not able to hit. And Jason Williams pushing it down. Walker again from downtown, this time an air ball. Wade rejected. Here's Mourning and a foul. And that is the second on Yao.
Now that's going to spell trouble for the Rockets right there.
Now this has been a problem for Yao Ming throughout his young career. He gets himself in a kind of a precarious position. He doesn't quite get his hands up. He's a little slow reacting to the quickness and the speed that he faces, and that's what gets him in foul trouble. And that's a huge problem for Houston, because you could see, as you mentioned, Mark, they've established their offensive game plan tonight. Getting the ball inside to him, he was effective, but now he's got to take a seat.
Well, I think he was caught off balance right there. He blocked the shot, and it went directly to Zoe. And as soon as he turned around, Zoe was going up for the shot. So he's the one that really got caught off balance a little bit after the block.
So it's a all-Georgetown confrontation as Alonzo Mourning now will be facing Dikembe Mutombo, who has replaced Yao Ming. Game tied at 6. We are early in the first. Yao Ming has actually been struggling from the field coming into tonight's game. Over the past 2 games, shooting only 14 of 37. A foul on Haslam. It's a non-shooting affair.
You know, when you get your rhythm early, you want to kind of stay on the floor. You know that the emphasis of the game is going to be run through you, the offense, and then when you pick up 2 quick fouls, it can kind of throw your rhythm off a little bit.
Yao sitting down after seeing a lot of the basketball on the low post. And Jason Williams reaching in, makes contact. Second team foul called on Miami. Rockets come in with a record of 1-2. They won on opening night against Sacramento. They've lost their last 2 to the Hornets and the Magic. 2 losses at home. Not a good start with their first 3 at home. Juwan Howard again able to knock it down, and Houston up by 2.
And where they really struggled was offensively, trying to find a rhythm to their game without Tracy McGrady. So much of their offense goes through him. So now you've got Yao Ming on the bench. Obviously no McGrady. They've got to find a way to score some points. Probably a lot of screen and roll with Rafer Alston.
And that second side ball screen is so pivotal right there. Juwan Howard, who's a masterful shooter, especially on the baseline, 12 to 15 feet. If he can stretch the defense like that, that's another plus for the Rockets as well.
Kick ball, so 14 on the shot clock. Wade gives it, try to give it back and then try to slip it. But Mourning did not expect the pass and did not hold on.
Do you think Stan right now is scratching his head a little bit with all the turnovers? I mean, obviously you're without your best player in Shaq, but your second best player has to take care of the basketball. Dwayne Wade had 10 last night. That's too much for your second best player.
Now on Jason Williams, that's his second. Miami already with 4 turnovers here at the start. Williams will sit down, and Gary Payton will come on.
No, I think Stan is thinking about taking better care of the ball, but it's not Jason Williams' fault. I mean, he did fine.
Absolutely
I think the problem is, Shaq is the ultimate pressure release when he's in the game, and this team is accustomed to throwing the ball inside to him, and it's very difficult once he's not there to find any kind of comfort zone offensively.
Miami in possession, trailing by 2. They now have a backcourt of Wade and Payton with Haslam up front, along with Mourning and Walker. Here's Alston putting moves on and then brings it right back out for Anderson. Tumbo. Bowen, who will rarely shoot. Look out, that's a traveling violation.
And, this is the new look Rockets as well. They have a lot of new parts that are trying to find out if they can mesh into their new system as well. With Tracy McGrady being out and Yao on the bench with 2 fouls, where are they going to manufacture points? Juwan Howard is trying, but it's got to come from their guard play.
And I guarantee you, Jeff Van Gundy never really envisioned this lineup when he was going through training camp. He's got a couple of non-scorers, and he's trying to find some kind of rhythm. But Bowen, as you see the ball out of bounds back to Houston, but Bowen and Dikembe, both energy guys, defensive-minded players, they're being asked to do a little bit more offensively now.
Timeout is taken with just under 6 to go in this first quarter. That was turnover number 5 for Miami. Houston up by 2. Back in Miami at a beautiful 78-degree night. Let's go to Craig Sager with tonight's Jaguar sideline report. Here's Craig.
Shaquille O'Neal is here tonight. He's back in the locker room where just a few moments ago he had the cast removed from his straight right ankle. He will start rehab tomorrow. Remember 1 week ago tonight in the season opener against Indiana, he stepped on the foot of Ron Artest. X-rays that night were negative, and then the MRI the following day indicated that it was a sprain and it was not broken. He was put in a plaster cast the next day. He has been immobile ever since. Tomorrow he will start rehab. He'll also be wearing a walking boot and also walking with crutches. The initial report was 2 to 4 weeks he would be out. That means he was out at least to a week from tonight, but likely more like Thanksgiving, which is 3 weeks away.
All right, thanks, Craig. This is game 4 for Miami without Shaquille O'Neal, start of a 4-game homestand. Anderson met by Simeon, who just checked in, the rookie from Kansas, Wayne Simeon, who played well last night against the Pacers. Simeon, 16 minutes and 9 points and 6 rebounds.
Stan Van Gundy raved about Simeon's basketball IQ. He said he's been very well coached at Kansas, of course, playing for Roy Williams and then Bill Self. And guy he was anticipating putting on Yao Ming tonight, but here in the early going, he's going against Dikembe.
Anderson picked up by Simeon on a switch, was able to pull up for the jumper, and Houston has a 10-6 lead on Miami.
And that's one of the guys that has to get on track for the Rockets is Derek Anderson, especially with Yao on the bench for 2 fouls. Derek Anderson, David Wesley when he comes in, John Barry's been struggling from the floor.
And a nice move by Payton over Alston, and with that baseline pop to bring Miami within 2.
And that's one thing Stan Van Gundy talked about as well. Dwayne Wade and Gary Payton taking advantage of the smaller Houston Rockets guard, taking them down the post, trying to get some easy ones.
Crowd looking for a travel on Bowen. Here's Howard. Yes, so Juwan Howard is the hot hand here at the start. He's hit 3 for 3, has 6 points, and Houston up by 4. Gary Payton coming off the bench for the first time since back in the 92-93 season as a member of the Seattle Sonics. Wayne Wade not able to find the range. Back comes Anderson. Wade had him bottled up, and it's a jump ball.
Good hands there by Dwayne Wayne, getting it almost looked like a pinky on the ball to deflect it away from Derek Anderson. Now usually, Steve, they would call that a foul when you jump on the defender to tie it up right there. But Dwayne Wade got away with it. I mean, it was a loose ball.
Loose ball, and I think, you know, he made the steal cleanly at first, and once that ball's loose after a clean steal, I think they generally let a little bit more go, but I'm just so impressed by Wade's speed and quickness. I mean, Derek Anderson has a lot of speed, quickness, and size, but Wade has such long arms, able to disrupt the flow of the offense, poke the ball away. Very good defender.
And you saw his leaping ability as Miami controls the tip. Coming up on 4 minutes to play in the first quarter, Marv Albert, Reggie Miller, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager were at American Airlines Arena in Miami. Here's Payton for 3. Yes, Gary Payton goes downtown to bring the Heat within a point.
Like I said, a plus. When Dwayne Wade gets to the paint, good things happen. Gary Payton getting free for a wide open 3. Keep attacking the paint. Especially with Yao being out of the game. There's no one in there going to block shots.
That's a 3-point attempt coming up short. Good hustle by Mutombo, and Howard able to finish.
The 40-year-old man, at least that's what it says in the media guide.
Okay.
Getting on the floor. Looked like it took Dikembe about 2 or 3 minutes to get the engine started, but man, he still produces when he gets out there.
See, I have 39 with a question mark.
Oh, I was going to say 45. No. I know him better.
Payton got inside, missed the left. Good hustle by Simeon, but he stepped out of bounds. It will be Houston ball.
Well, what did Stan Van Gundy say, or Jeff Van Gundy say? If you cut Dikembe open like a tree, there'd be at least 40 rings around the circle. And watch him on the loose ball, getting after it, jumping right on top of Haslam, and then the quick little feed to Howard. Great start for him. 4 for 4 on the night.
Well, Antoine Walker sits down, and James Posey makes his first appearance for the Miami Heat. He's come back a little earlier than people expected from a sprained right thumb. Alston off the mark on that 3-point attempt.
James Posey was activated last night. I think Stan Van Gundy kind of senses the urgency in his team, needing to get all the parts to this engine running well and get them on the floor.
Nice move by Simeon. He looks good. First-round draft pick, the Big 12 Conference Player of the Year after spending 4 years as a Jayhawk at Kansas. Wayne Simeon brings Miami within 1.
Well, going against one of the best defenders in the NBA, Dikembe Mutombo, not phased, obviously. Simeon with the turnaround jumper.
Well, the Houston Rockets have a 1-point lead on the Miami Heat. Again, a matchup of the brothers Van Gundy. Jeff and Stan meeting head-to-head for the 5th time. They split the previous 4. Jeff Van Gundy in his 3rd season as head coach of the Rockets, following 6.5 years head coach of the Knicks. Had great success with the Knicks, taking over from Pat Riley. These days, Pat Riley is the president of the Miami Heat. Stan Van Gundy, longtime assistant under Pat, now in his third season as head coach of the Heat. Took over a week before the 2003-2004 season and has done a terrific job last season. Got to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm told there was a shoving match between the brothers earlier. Lots of noogies thrown. All are fine.
Well, I think Jeff was the only one getting noogies.
Oh, really?
Big brother took care of that.
There's a rare shot by Bowen, and he deflected away. Last touch by Howard. And Mom and Dad on hand. Cindy on the left, and Bill Van Gundy, who retired after 4 decades of coaching, including 15 seasons as the head coach at Genesee Community College up in Batavia, New York. And as Jeff said, they're here for all 41 home games of the Miami Heat. They live in the area, and he was wondering who would they really be rooting for off all those free tickets.
Yeah, he said they're just like NBA players. They love free stuff.
Wait a second.
So if that's the case, then they're really cheering for the Heat.
That's right. That's where they got the tickets.
Coming up on 2 minutes to play in the first quarter, Mutombo with a two-handed tip.
Well, if you want to call it a tip, I thought he was standing still when he tipped it in. It's not the same Dikembe that probably would have tip dunked that a few years ago when he was 40, as you say.
That's right.
That's 5 years ago.
Dwayne Wade way off. Kept alive by Haslam. Nice play, and he draws the foul. Wade is now 0 for 5. Udonis Haslam had a strong game last night in the loss to the Pacers. 19-11, 3 steals. So Haslam to the line. A reminder, national coverage of the NBA will continue this week. Tomorrow night on ESPN, it's the Lakers and the Sixers, followed by the Pistons and the Trailblazers. Coverage starting 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Saturday on NBA TV, the Spurs and the Wizards. Coverage starting 7 o'clock in the East.
That's the second free throw Haslam has missed all season. He's been such a good addition to this team. Complements Shaquille O'Neal so well. He's actually the kind of guy that Yao Ming needs next to him. A banger, a guy who's going to rebound, do a lot of the dirty work, and then he's money on that 17-foot shot when the double team comes. So really complements Shaq beautifully.
Rafer Olsen from way downtown and kept alive by Mutombo going at Simeon, and he was tripped up.
Well, you talked about Udonis Haslam. That's what I thought Stromel Swift was brought in to be that guy for Yale. He hasn't panned out yet, but it's early in the season. But it's funny because talking with Coach Dan Van Gundy, Patrick Ewing, who is an assistant coach under Jeff Van Gundy, he had that in New York with Charles Oakley. You know, every big center needs someone to watch his blind side, as they say in the NBA. So right now, you know, Stromel Swift is a work in progress, and hopefully he can pan out for that for Yao. But he definitely needs to have that presence behind him.
And Jeff Van Gundy telling us that he knows that Stromel Swift had excellent coaching with the Memphis Grizzlies last couple of years. I believe he was referring to Hubie Brown and then assistant coach Eric Musselman.
Yes.
I'm not getting in the middle of this, guys. Poor Czar. You guys always treat it as Czar.
It's kind of a weekly tradition. We like to get a reference to him. We don't want to mention his name. We just want to refer to him now and then.
But we'll all be hearing from him. There'll be crank calls later on in the evening.
From one of his 3 cell phones.
Foul is called on Alston. Both teams are over the foul limit, so Payton will shoot 2.
And I see Stan Van Gundy sticking to his plan of putting his bigger guards down in the post. Gary Payton taking Rafer Alston down low, trying to create that contact and take that advantage. Height advantage that he has over Rafer.
Miami has Mourning, Haslam, and Posey up front. Backcourt of Wade and Payton. David Wesley has come on for the first time for the Rockets, who now go with a small backcourt. Alston and Wesley at the guards. Howard, Anderson, and Mutombo up front. Final minute of the first. Rockets up by a point. Mutombo sent the pick. Alston passed on the shot. Anderson, he's fouled. Yes, it counts. The foul on Posey And Derek Anderson will go to the line.
Well, give Houston some credit. They worked for that shot. They made about 6 or 7 passes in this possession. Wesley finding Alston. The extra pass, that's what makes the play. Posey has to close out. The little touch. Anderson with the fadeaway. And he gets to go to the line.
Well, I'm going to tell you who really made the play was David Wesley. You know, your shooting guard, when he's coming off picks like that, he came off right to left off of Juwan Howard and to get the shot, came back off left to right to get the shot, drove baseline, hit Rafer, and
what do you know about coming off picks, Reggie?
Yeah, you're right.
You never worked hard coming off screens. I don't remember any of that.
The rookie from Illinois, Luther Head, has come on out for the Rockets, and Dwayne Wade is fouled.
Well, Dwayne definitely has the size advantage on David Wesley. What I'm shocked because David Wesley has always been known as a good bulldog defender. You know, he's been playing shooting guard for the last 6 or 7 years, and he's been known for his defense down the post, and that was a little bit too easy for Dwayne Wade.
Well, remember, he had the knee surgery in June, and that has contributed to some shooting troubles, just 2 for 15 coming into the game tonight. And I think, you know, anytime you're older and you have a knee surgery or any kind of injury, it takes a little bit longer to get your legs underneath you, and I think, you know, it showed there defensively.
Mourning keeping it alive and goes right at Mutombo. Wade on the tip. That's his first field goal.
And you can't give up second shots, especially on free throws. Alonzo doing a good job of tipping the basketball to himself, creating space and getting the shot up. But Dwayne Wade using his size and athleticism to get in there for the putback.
4-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock.
Good switch there by James Posey with Dwayne Wade.
However, a blocking foul. It's on Posey.
Well, you know, Dwayne Wade misses the free throw, and there's really no one to block him out right here. He just comes in, settles in, and, you know, puts the tip dumps it back in.
And this is why you don't worry if you're Stan Van Gundy about an 0 for 5 beginning for Dwayne Wade. Some guys start 0 for 5. That's it for the evening. You know they're out of rhythm. Dwayne Wade can score about 5 different ways. You know he's going to get to the foul line. You know he'll get some offensive rebounds, some fast break hoops. He can very easily now get into the flow of this game.
Romile Swift has come on for the first time. Let's go over to Craig.
Well, David Wesley at the free throw line. If he makes his free throw, Marv, he will have 11,075 points over his career. That's the second most by any player in the history of the NBA who is not drafted. He has just now passed John Starks, who is in third. I don't think he'll catch the leader. That's Moses Malone. He has 27,409.
All right, Craig, final seconds of the first. There's Peyton Walker for 3. Yes, straight away. Three-pointer by Antoine Walker. And this is Head from the backcourt. Well, he was on target, but a little high and far. That's the end of the first. It's Miami 22 and Houston 20. We'll be back in South Florida in a moment. We are back in Miami, first of our TNT doubleheader. Detroit and Phoenix coming up after the Rockets and the Heat. It's on to the second quarter. Miami up by 2. The rookie from Illinois, the Rockets' first-round draft pick, Luther Head, checked in late in the first quarter. Terrific athlete. He can leap 39-inch vertical jump. More of a shooter, I think, than a creator.
Well, they're hoping he provides some energy and athleticism because this is an aging Rockets backcourt, and Sam Van Gundy, or Jeff Van Gundy, it's getting very confusing.
Van Gundy
telling us that this is a guy they have high hopes for in the future. That's an area of need for the Rockets.
Well, he was also on the early bus with Tracy McGrady here, working early with Charlie Ward on pick and roll and shooting as well. So you like to see that in your young players. Them getting on the early bus, getting over early, getting some workouts.
3-second violation is called. Prior to that, John Barry, who just checked in, is called on a foul. Reggie, I think you can relate to getting to the arena early, very early, as we used to watch Reggie in the zone, shooting away hours before the game.
I used to think you just stayed and shoot around. You didn't even bother going back to the hotel.
Romile Swift on his first attempt, and back comes Walker. Williams met by Head. Here's Jason Williams taking to the rim.
Tiptoe through the tulip through the lane. I mean, what made that play was Alonzo Mourning shielding off Stromile Swift.
Swift's pass deflected. Last touch by Miami.
Well, with no Yao Ming and no Dikembe Mutombo in the lineup right now, where's the shot blocking? You're asking Swift to be that anchor in the middle, but remember, he's very slight. He's not a big guy. Alonzo Mourning, as you mentioned, Reggie, kind of muscled him, took him out of the play. That allowed Williams the wide open lane.
Yao Ming played the first 4 minutes, picked up 2 fouls, and we have not seen him since then. Swift keeping it alive. Howard now guarded by Mourning. His head, and he fires. Rebounded by Swift again. Stromile Swift firing one up. And back comes Payton and Williams in the backcourt. Walker with Mourning and Posey up front. John Barry defending on Jason Williams, who got it down low, the foul. Reach in on Swift.
Now, I know Alonzo's going to look at Stromile and say, kid, you got to get in the weight room. Because very much the way Yao was posting up Alonzo so deep in the paint, that's exactly what Alonzo did to Stromile. He has to put on weight. If he's going to play that power forward position, especially in the West, he's got to put on some weight.
Juan Howard, who shot well, sitting down, leads with 9 points. Yao Ming returns, playing with the 2 personals. Walker with the room. Passed on the 3 and able to hit on a running hook.
Slow rotation by Swift, and that's one of the things that Van Gundy talked about before the game. And by the way, I'm just going to say Van Gundy from now on, not Stan or Jeff. But the defensive rotations for Swift has been what's kept him off the floor, as you see Yao getting back into the flow.
Miami 26, Houston 22. And Williams able to work himself free, but gives it up to Walker. He's had the hot hand. 8 points for Antoine. Payton for 3. Hit one earlier. And recovered by Wesley.
Well, now that Yao's back on the floor, let's try to establish himself again. You know he's going to get low post position on Alonzo.
Oh, nice pass. Oh, the rejection by Mourning, who came over to help. Turning away Stromile Swift. He'll try again. Scores and the foul.
How exciting can he be? We know he's got the physical ability to do that. He comes in. See what happened on the block first? He thought it was an easy dunk. He didn't think Zoe was going to contest it. And he took too long to come up. He gets the ball back and double pumps in the air. Nice body control for someone 6'10".
What are the plays called? Wow plays? I think that's what his coach said today. He said he makes a lot of wow plays. Remember, he had a game against Houston last year when he was playing with Memphis. Remember, Marv, we were there, Martin Luther King Day. He had one of the all-time great dunks I have ever seen over Yao Ming. Just incredible. He jumps absolutely out of the gym.
Yes. Stromile Swift, the guy with the 2nd pick overall in the 2000 draft, taken by the then Vancouver Grizzlies. Nice touch by Mourning. Miami with a 4-point lead. Alonzo will go after everything so that Monday night on the Miami net game, Yao Ming stopped by Mourning. Yao on the stuff. And the foul.
It is getting personal around here. Because it's funny, the shots that Yao made earlier, I thought he could have dunked them. And he did a good job once again getting low post position on Alonzo. He gets the 2nd shot, gathers. See, that's what he has to do more. He has to gather his feet in the bench, as you see Juwan Howard showing his enthusiasm.
Well, remember, Reggie, they haven't played against each other that often. Yao Ming is not really familiar going against the shot blocking ability of Zoe. I think he's figuring it out as this game goes along. He's got to attack it.
So very much like Kenny said in the pregame show, I will take Alonzo Mourning because that means he is going to go after every shot. You want that physical presence as Luther Head sneaks in there? Come on, Alonzo.
We're singing his praises.
I'm singing his praises saying, I want Alonzo Mourning, and you let the smallest, well, the 2nd smallest guy on the floor tip it in.
But he can leap, as we touched on earlier. Luther Head only 6'3" and has that 39-inch vertical jump. This is Yao in the face of Alonzo. Rockets and Heat tied at 28. We are early in the second quarter. This is a Houston team that made a host of additions to the squad for tonight's Toyota. Moving forward, we look at the Rockets and the significant changes they made this past offseason. First off, they signed free agent big man Stromile Swift. That was back in early August, signing Swift as a free agent. 3 weeks later, Derek Anderson added to the roster. He spent the previous 4 years with the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Rockets traded for point guard Rafer Alston, one-time member of the Miami Heat. That took place in early October. Rafer now the starting point, acquired from Toronto on the deal for Mike James, and Rafer Alston very happy to depart the Raptors.
And Houston very happy to have him here, although Mike James was very effective for this team a year ago with his energy and his defense, but the Rockets felt like they needed a pure point guard, a guy who could really accommodate Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming.
Shot clock running down, so Jason Williams had to fire it up. Now they get the new 24. Mourning getting position. Yao does not want to pick up a third. He stepped away, kept alive by the Heat. Lots of time remaining on the clock. Walker to the crossover. Jason Williams, still 10 on the shot clock. And here's Posey for 3. Rebounded by Swift.
I'm shocked twice. The last 2 times that Antoine Walker has had the basketball, he could have settled for threes and didn't. Maybe showing a little bit of maturity, but years past in Boston, those would have been up.
Luther Head, that's a 2-pointer, had a foot on the line. The rookie from Illinois with his second field goal. A moment ago, he went right at Alonzo Mourning. So the Rockets have taken a 2-point lead off a 10-2 run. Here's Payton from downtown. Long rebound handled by Williams. Jason Williams guarded by David Wesley, able to lose him off the pick. Rebounded by Yao, and here comes Barry. And Yao getting position. Yao again, and he's fouled. That's 3 on Mourning.
Well, that's what Yao has to do. He's getting the basketball underneath the basket. He's trying to jump hook at where he should be dunking the basketball. He's trying to get his feet together.
There's an intimidating force underneath there with Alonzo Mourning.
Put Alonzo in the basket, too.
Fair enough.
And that last foul was charged to Antoine Walker, so Mourning with 2, and Antoine now called on the public address for the foul. So Yao Ming with his 9th point.
Tell you what I'm impressed with is Houston's ability to feed the post. Last year's Rocket team was an abysmal passing ball club. Van Gundy even said may have been the worst passing team to ever grace the floor in the NBA.
Ever.
Of course, Jeff, not one to that's prone to hyperbole by any means, but these guys really know how to feed the post. Barry and David Wesley, Rafer Alston doing a nice job of getting the ball into Yao Ming.
5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Barry off the fake, did not have the shot, and the ball goes back to Miami.
And, you know, that's not so much John Barry's fault where it is Stromile Swift's fault, because he's not strong enough to hold off his defender, get a base, and go get the basketball, because he had a dunk as well.
Well, that's always been the knock on him. He's a little bit of an in-between player. You're not sure if he's a power forward or a small center or a big small forward. You got all that?
Yeah.
Haslem with a good thought with a backdoor pass. And a foul is called on the Rockets. It is on Wesley. Miami has missed its last 6 field goal attempts. They're down now by 4 points. And Posey's getting a long run. Will throw in. James Posey making it back from that sprained right thumb. This is his Miami Heat debut. He came over from the Memphis Grizzlies. Now Haslem. Miami continues to have its shooting problems, and they come in as one of the top shooting teams in the NBA. In contrast to Houston, they are last in the league in shooting percentage.
Of course, we're very early in the season. These numbers can be a little deceiving, and you see the offensive foul called on John Berry.
Who did he charge into? If anything, it could have been traveling, but I didn't see a charge. No one fell down. No one established position. I like what Houston's doing. They're keeping Miami off track. Trapping, man-to-man, switching, trying a little bit of everything.
Posey for three. So James Posey with his first field goal.
And that's what he's here for, to be a defensive stopper and a three-point spot-up shooter. Eventually, as you see, the block called on Udonis Haslem. What are you laughing about, Reggie?
Because I thought that one was a charge.
Well, the crowd agrees with you. They're not happy right now.
For Haslem, it is his second. You see the reaction from Stan Van Gundy. The officials are now discussing it as a timeout is called. You'll see the play as Haslem try to get position. The foul will hold up. Udonis Haslem is called on the blocking foul. Houston by one. We'll be right back. A moment ago, as we watched the replay, the initial call was a blocking foul on Haslem, who hits the deck. As we were going to commercial, then the officials conferred, and it is now called a double foul. Tony Brothers said a block on Haslem, and one of the other officials, Kevin Fair, called a charge, and it means a jump ball.
Never seen this before, but when two officials call the play separately or differently, it's a double foul. Now, there are no team fouls assessed, but each player gets a personal foul, and you see the jump ball ensues.
You gotta hate the double foul. There are so many situations where you can't call a double foul.
It's so rare, especially in a block charge situation.
All right, foul is called on Haslem. So that's number 3 on Haslem, and Yao Ming heads back to the line. We'll go over to Craig Sager with Tracy McGrady. Craig?
Well, Houston playing their third consecutive game without T-Mac, out with a strained back. Initially, they said you may be out for 3 weeks, but Reggie and Steve were commenting you look pretty good in practice today. You may come back Saturday.
Well, that's what we're shooting for. I'm definitely not going to rush it. We'll see how my body reacts after a hard workout today, and we'll go from there.
In the past, in Orlando particularly, you had recurring back spasms. Is this different? Is this something hopefully will just be over this coming week?
Yeah, this is pretty much different. This is something that happened real instant. What I had in Orlando is just due to the rigors of the season, and that's what affected that. But hopefully this doesn't last that long, and we can take care of this, and it doesn't reoccur anymore, because it's real painful, and you just don't know how long it'll last.
Yao Ming got into early foul trouble, but he's been dominating here. How is his game different this year?
Well, what's different is after every season he goes to China back home and play, and his game's over there. And I think this offseason he didn't have to go over there and play in as many games. So I think he's more fresher. He's stronger upper body, and he's being more aggressive this year.
We'll see you next week against San Antonio. Talk a little bit about the new faces, new additions to the team, and how excited you are.
Well, we're still trying to figure each other out, and it doesn't help with me being over here on the sideline. So we haven't really got the full effect of our potential and how we're going to play. What's our identity? We don't know that yet. So hopefully I can come back and we can put this thing together, gel right away, and have a successful year.
All right, thanks a lot. Stay healthy. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Tracy McGrady hurt his back in practice last week. Stromile Swift has given the Rockets a 2-point lead. Tracy landing awkwardly after a reverse layup. And although he says it had nothing to do with the back injury suffered in Orlando, Wade able to finish. And the game is tied at 35. And as you heard, Tracy could make his return Saturday night with the Houston Rockets going up against the Nets in New Jersey. Here's Yao again getting position, this time on Simeon. He towers over Wayne Simeon. And the Rockets lead by 2.
How about this? Let's let Yao get 60 or 70 touches tonight. Because if he's going to get position like that, he's going to foul out the whole Heat bench. I don't care who's going to guard him. You got to keep feeding the big man.
Wade showing the left hand, rebounded by Yao. Yao now has 13 points, 9 of the 13 in the second quarter.
And when you got to go in like that offensively, you get a little zest in your legs, you start rebounding better, you start getting better position, your whole overall game starts to evolve.
Barry not able to hit the three, and the foul on Miami. Kevin Fair says stay right here.
Because you can't box Yao out.
That's a big call, too, because Yao had 2 fouls, and it looked like he may have gone over the back of Simeon a little bit. Let's take a look at the replay. You'll see Simeon trying to box out. Yao just so much bigger, and tough to tell if there was a foul or not there. I might have just let that go, but if anything, that looked like maybe it was Yao coming over the top.
Number 3 on the rookie, Wayne Simeon, who will be replaced by Alonzo Mourning.
And the way Yao was kind of bending over at the free throw line, he looks like he's a little out of shape, Steve. I mean, you know, we know that he's used to getting into foul trouble and not playing, but he looks a little winded.
Well, they're going to him every play.
Yeah.
And remember, he's used to seeing Tracy McGrady have the ball, and he's obviously McGrady is the #1 option. They are going exclusively to Yao tonight.
He looks tired.
He does look a little tired. The question is, do you leave him in the game now? He's got 2 fouls. Maybe you take him out so he doesn't pick up his third.
Well, that's what Dwayne Wade was attempting to do as he went right at Yao, stepped away, not allowing the contact. 1 point, Rocket lead. Swift with box out, and Antoine Walker with help from Alonzo Mourning came up with it. Here is Jason Williams, nice lead pass. Wade on the recovery.
Wade is starting to get himself situated with the offense. 2 tip-back dunks and 2 drives for baskets. But Coach Jeff Van Gundy is playing with dynamite by leaving Yao out there. Wade now asserting himself offensively. He's been struggling this first half. Drives baseline, uses Yao's own body against him. And now he goes baseline again, gets stripped, stays with it, puts the bucket back in.
Well, the Houston Rockets pounding the ball into Yao Ming tonight. The big fella has responded. 14 points, 7 boards already. You see the jump hook over Alonzo Mourning. Watch the little shack move with the elbow. Clear out the big guy, and then offensive rebound. Slam it home. And post move here. Spin on the rookie, Wayne Simeon. Might have gotten fouled there, too, but finishes strongly. Yao Ming off to the quick start. Houston trails by 1.
Well, with 3:15 left in the half, you think Jeff Van Gundy is somewhat, you know, lightning in a bottle. You don't want Yao to pick up his 3rd foul here. And now they got to go double because he is on fire.
Shot clock down to 7. Nice play. Swift rejected by Mourning.
How many times does it take? How many licks does it take to get to the bottom of a Tootsie Pop? How many?
Posey from downtown. So that's his second 3. And Miami now leads 42-38. So Alonzo Mourning with his 3rd blocked shot. 7-0 run by the Heat. Anderson for Swift. And Swift able to get inside.
Smart play by Swift. He's had 2 shots blocked by Mourning. Pump fake, and now Swift is injured on the play, but the pump fake set up the shot.
Posey feeling it. Mourning lost it. He was looking for a foul. Barry pulls it up, shoots the 3. Back comes Miami with 2 minutes to go in this first half. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Reggie Miller, and Craig Sager. Mourning rejected by Swift.
Kill my dog, I'll kill your cat.
Oh, that's terrible. That is so, seriously. And Swift is able to put it down.
I have never heard that one.
We don't want to hear it again.
I'm full of them. I'm full of them.
I was thinking, you know, fool me once, shame on now.
Oh, no.
Right back at you.
Yeah.
Hey, this is cable, isn't it? We're okay.
No. Have you ever heard the initials PETA?
That's right. They're coming after you tonight, Reggie.
All right, Dwayne Wade again gets inside, and Miami now leads by 2. And Wade has come on. He has shelved the jumper, which was not falling, and he now has 13 points, taking him to the rim. Swift from outside, showing the entire repertoire.
Well, like I said, he needs a specialty. And it's not going to be points because you got Yao and when Tracy gets back on your team. But he has to come up with a specialty. Second shot, block shots, defense. And he's starting to learn that.
But you sense that he's still trying to figure it all out. And that's obviously why he doesn't play more than about 20, 22 minutes a game.
Alonzo Mourning looking for contact. He's trying to draw number 3 on Yao Ming. Could not. But he did score. Miami leads 46-44. But Stromile Swift, 10 points, all coming in the second quarter.
And we talked about Yao's fatigue. How about Alonzo Mourning, of course, coming off the kidney transplant as Barry misses the 3. And Yao misses the putback.
And that was a tired missed dunk right there.
A tired dunk, and look at Alonzo just now crossing half court. He looks exhausted.
Well, I don't think Alonzo Mourning had signed up for these kind of minutes.
Where's Shaq? Where is Shaquille O'Neal when you need him?
Oh, Alonzo's done a good job. Here's Wade, the shot clock running down. With 1 on the 24, he's able to streak to the basket. Final seconds of the half. Anderson from way downtown. Action-packed first half here in Miami. The Heat up 48-44. Dwayne Wade, high point man for the Heat. 15 points, 12 coming in the second quarter. Yao Ming has 14, Stromile Swift with 10, all in the second. And James Posey making his return, coming off the thumb injury, played 15 minutes, hit 2 from downtown.
Miami with a 48-44 lead. Now let's go to EJ, TNT Arena in Atlanta.
All right, thank you very much, Craig. It is the T-Mobile halftime report here from TNT Arena. Studio J in Atlanta. Ernie Johnson, Magic Johnson, King of the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley. And Charles began the night talking about how dominant a night Yao Ming should have. Shaquille O'Neal cannot play. Didn't look that way at the start. 4 points and 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes, and he sat down. But when he came back, he was playing.
You know, the Rockets, Tracy McGrady is a great player, but the Rockets only going to go far as Yao Ming carried him. And for some reason, he's so passive at times. You wonder, is he going to be aggressive enough? And obviously with Shaq out, Alonzo Mourning is not, nobody's big enough to guard Yao Ming, especially when he gets the ball that low. He should especially with Tracy McGrady on the sideline, he should get 30 a night. And that's the only way they can win without Tracy McGrady.
You know, it seems like a situation tailor-made to some pictures from Kenny, but I'm not going to assume anything.
Tailor-made. You know, just to pick up on Charles's point, one thing that as a coach, they will always tell you, they can't coach effort. And as a player or as a fan, how can I see what effort is? Well, it's pretty evident when you watch Yao Ming that his effort level is different. Because what he's going to do, he gets the ball in low, then he goes for second efforts, and then instead of laying it, he knows I have to finish. Again, getting it tight into the post, getting in, going up, second effort, getting fouled. The second effort shows the intensity. Then when Wayne Simeone is too little, I don't need a second effort. I'm going to go over it. It's the second effort that shows effort level, and then coaches can coach.
I mean, there were times in the playoffs, I know last year, you talked about what he is capable of doing. He'd show flashes of that. Where does the consistency come in? When will he be consistent night in, night out, giving you that kind of stuff?
If he plays like this, Ernie. See, tonight he's mean and he's tough. What Kenny showed you some pictures. The first couple of games of the season, he never did that. Tonight, he was going against Alonzo Mourning. He knew he had to bring his best, and that's what he's doing tonight. What's really bothered me about Houston is all the other guys who are supposed to make this team a championship team. Anderson, they're not really bringing it right now to me. And so some of these other guys have got to help Yao Ming in the second half. Not just this game, but the rest of the season, if Houston is going to be a championship
Remember
team.
last year when Coach Van Gundy said, what did he say, we need some pit bulls?
Pit bulls around our players.
You know what? Your best players got to be pit bulls. You know, I think about my day, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, the 3 greatest players of my generation. They were pit bulls. And I'm not talking about fighting all the time, but your best player has to be your toughest guy. And when your coach says we need some pit bulls, it can't be those guys coming in off the bench. The Rockets only going to go as far as Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming carry them. And you got to, if I'm a Rocket fan, you got to ask yourself, is Yao Ming going to be just a good player or a dominant player night in, night out? And the jury is still out on that question.
That's right. 14 points, 8 rebounds in the first half for Yao Ming after kind of that sputtering start. The only other guy in double figures for the Rockets, the Stroh Show. Stroh Swift has 10.
Stroh Show? He's got a show now?
That's what they call him, the Stroh Show.
It's on UPN, I guess. It ain't on TNT.
4-point game for Miami.
Welcome back to American Airlines Arena in Miami, and tonight's helicopter aerial is being brought to you in high definition by Phillips. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Reggie Miller, and Greg Sager. Exciting first half here in Miami. It was a shot-blocking festival sparked by Alonzo Mourning, who had 3. And Reggie, from Miami's point of view, Dwayne Wade, much more under control than we saw last night against Indiana.
Yeah, we know offensively, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, but no turnovers. Coming off 10 turnovers last night in Indiana, a big plus for himself.
And Steve, with Tracy McGrady sidelined by that back injury, the offense revolves around the 7'6" Yao Ming.
Yeah, I was really impressed with his aggressiveness in the first half. How about the battle? Really, they battled to exhaustion, Yao Ming and Alonzo Mourning. And I'm interested to watch in the second half which guy's going to hold up. I think whichever one can last physically may well determine the outcome of this game.
Now let's take a look at tonight's Dodge game summary. Both clubs shot pretty well. Houston at 43%, 19 of 44, led by Yao, 5 of 10 from the field. Miami 18 of 40 for 45%. And you can see the Rockets 0 for 8 from downtown. They've missed 6 free throws. And the turnover situation just about even. Miami started badly in that department, but settled down. Moments ago, Craig caught up with Houston head coach Jeff Van Gundy.
Well, Yao Ming, despite early foul trouble, 14 points, 8 rebounds. What do you expect out of him in the second half?
Really, I only expected of him just what I expect of everybody else, is to do their job. And second quarter, we didn't do our jobs defensively, and they were living at the basket. And obviously, Wade and Williams got at the basket, and we got pounded on the board. So, we just all have to do our jobs.
All right, thanks a lot. Thank you, Mark.
Our third quarter underway. Haslam not able to hit. Here's Anderson. Rockets go with their starting lineup. On Howard hitting the jumper early on. Ryan Bowen and Yao Ming up front. Rafer Alston in the backcourt with Derek Anderson.
And right away you can see Miami playing Udonis Haslam on Yao Ming, trying to give Mourning a little rest.
Yao on the follow.
It's a tough matchup for Haslam. I mean, he's about 6'8". He's giving up, 10 inches or so and some weight and some length. But we'll see how long Stan Van Gundy goes before he puts Mourning back on the big fella.
Yao still looked a little ginger. He looks like something's wrong with his legs or something. He's not moving as fluid as he was in the first few minutes of the game.
Bowen came up with that steal, and then on the drive, foul is called on Williams. That is number 3. Ryan Bowen in the starting lineup with Tracy McGrady sideline. Jeff Van Gundy prefers coming off the bench with Stroh Swift.
It's a defensive matchup. Bowen much more capable of chasing around smaller 3 men, guys who are quick and on the perimeter. And he likes having Bowen in the starting lineup when McGrady's out.
Here's Anderson for 3. And Wade is on it. Rockets get back. Wade and Williams at the guards. Haslam, Mourning, and Walker up front. Jason Williams with a nice pass, but Alonzo Mourning could not put it down. Rebounded by Yao Ming. Here comes Alston. Anderson, tough angle shot, and handled by Williams.
And neither Alonzo or Yao Ming crossed half court that time. So if this game picks up speed, we got to keep an eye on them.
Here's Wade, offensive foul.
Trying to do a little bit too much there, Dwayne Wade. He was probing the defense as he usually does, but kind of lowered that shoulder a little bit.
There's that first turnover for Wade, and that's what Jeff Van Gundy was talking about when he was visiting with Craig Sager at halftime. The penetration at the end of the first half was killing Houston. Excellent job by Derek Anderson drawing the charge.
Wade's first foul. Was that a visit?
It was a visit, a brief visit.
Yao, nice re-entry by Anderson, and Yao able to hit over Alonzo Mourning.
It's a great point. That re-entry pass is so important. When you've got a big guy like Yao Ming and you feed him the ball and he's not quite comfortable, he throws that back out to you. Throw it back in there. Give him another opportunity to get into rhythm.
Wade's feeling for Anderson and goes right at him.
Well, he has the size as well as the weight advantage on Derek Anderson. And if they're going to pound the ball into Yao, they might as well do it at the other end for Dwayne Wade because he has the height advantage as well.
Here's Howard, Juwan Howard shooting exceptionally well tonight. He now has 10 points, 5 of 6 from the field, and 4 of those 5 field goals have been jump shots.
And Steve, we talked about, we were surprised that Yao last year only had 61 assists for a big man. And you were alluding to earlier that he doesn't have the power forward, the big shooting power forward that most people like a Tim Duncan or a Kevin Garnett has, or a Shaq has for Udonis Haslem.
Oh, nice pass, but Wade able to break it up, and Yao is right there, and that is beginning to look too easy. Alonzo Mourning having difficulty reacting.
He's fading quickly, you can see it, and Van Gundy has been reluctant to play him big minutes, but he's been forced to with Shaq's injury. Alonzo, for his part, says, look, I want to play the whole game, but I don't think he's capable of doing so.
Defensive 3-second violation. Yao now has 20 points, 8 of 14 from the field.
And, it's all about Yao now because he has the height advantage over Zoe. Nice pass right there. Long shot. But look he goes right under. Zoe can't even move his feet right there. He didn't even see Yao Ming, who's 7'9", coming around him to get position. But, I'm looking at Alonzo and I'm looking at Yao, and this looks like two 45-year-old fighters past their prime trying to play the game right now because Alonzo cannot move, and it's the 15th round, and he's getting pummeled and pummeled and pummeled by Yao, and he cannot respond.
A lot of huffing and puffing out there. Yao Ming and Alonzo Mourning going at each other. Of course, Mourning is back from that kidney transplant in his second run with Miami, following a short stint with the Nets. Yao again to the reverse.
I disagree. Yao does not look 45. He looks 25 right now. How about the post move going right around Alonzo, but he wants the ball. Do you see him calling for the ball, Reggie? He knows he's got an advantage right now.
Okay, 42 for Yao. How about that?
Houston up by 2. Walker for 3. Chased down by Alston.
So when is Stan Van Gundy going to start the double team action? They did a little bit of it in the second quarter when he got hot. When are they going to start doubling?
Well, we'll see.
Anderson for 3. He's been off.
Still no double, but both these coaches hate to double team because when you start to double, then you give up wide open threes. Both these teams very good defending that three-point line because they stay at home on the post.
Well, Houston has not made a 3 tonight. Why not start chancing it?
Oh, strong move by Mourning. And again, the intent was to pick up number 3 on Yao, who was able to step away. The rookie from Kansas, Wayne Simeon, over at the scorer's table. He will come on in a moment for Mourning.
I'm telling you, Juwan Howard has to look down low to Yao. He has Alonzo Mourning inside the charge circle.
And that is an offensive foul on Howard.
Juwan pleading his case. He had the mismatch with Jason Williams guarding him, and this is a great play by Jason Williams. When you've got a ref right next to you, go ahead and flop. I mean, you might get the call. That's a flop. He gets it. I did it a few times. I know you did it more than your share.
Reggie?
I never, ever flop. What are you guys talking about?
What about the kick when you shoot the three, Reggie? That was always my favorite. You'd shoot the three, and then you kick your leg out to draw the defender.
Oh, what a play by Wade. It counts. And the foul. Dwayne Wade able to slip it to Udonis Haslem, who put it down, and the foul is on Yao Ming. That is number 3.
Well, Dwayne Wade doing a good job of curling, getting into the lane, and making something happen in Udonis Haslem. Yao Ming had to come over and help, and he did a good job of finding Haslem and used his body. That's the and one.
Remember we talked about Dwayne Wade started the game at 0 for 5. He's now 7 for 14, so he's 7 for his last 9. I don't think he's made a shot from further than about 5 feet away from the hoop. You see, he can penetrate at will, and if he doesn't get the bucket, he gets the easy pass to a teammate like he did there.
There's an open shot for Alston.
And they're still over from the three-point line. If Yao's going to kill you down low, they've got to make some outside shots. Start doubling them.
Rockets 0 for 11 from beyond that three-point line. 6 minutes to play. In the third, Miami up by 2.
Yao got a switch. He had Wade on him, but the Rockets didn't recognize him.
Oh, Anderson with no one helping out on the part of Miami, so Derek Anderson able to take it to the rim. 6 points for Anderson, and the game is tied.
And that lay-in was the result of that mismatch that you talked about. They switched down onto Yao Ming. Anderson ends up with a little mismatch. He takes advantage on the perimeter, driving right around Udonis Haslem for the easy 2.
Welcome back to Miami, where the Heat and the Houston Rockets are even at 56.
All right, Craig, game tied at 56, just under 6 remaining in the third quarter. We've had 13 ties, 5 lead changes. Posey coming up short. James Posey checking back in, hit a couple of threes in the first half. Neither the Rockets or Heat have led by more than 6. Rockets coming at 1 and 2, losing 2 games at home, and that is a three-pointer as Derek Anderson showing signs of finding the range. Rockets winning on opening night against Sacramento, lost their last 2 to the Hornets, and the Magic. Miami comes in at 2 and 3. Last night at Indiana, lost to the Pacers. Shaquille O'Neal missing his 4th straight game with the ankle injury. Here's Wade, one-handed by Yao.
You can see Dwayne Wade can get that shot anytime he wants. Derek Anderson backing off him, saying, I'm not letting you in the paint, but Wade does not have the perimeter touch going tonight.
Howard is tripped up by Haslem.
And this is what Coach Dan Van Gundy feared, is when Rafer Alston and the rest of the guards were going to start attacking and penetrating into the lane. He does a good job of really drawing 3 Heat defenders. Juwan Howard open on the baseline for the easy putback, but got fouled.
There was actually too much help there. 2 defenders came over instead of 1, and that's what left Howard open.
But the reason why there's so much help now, it's the Yao factor. Right now, they don't want Yao to touch the basketball, and Derek Anderson gets a wide open corner 3 because everyone is pillaging in on Yao down low, so now you're going to get wide open 3s.
Rockets 6 of 14 at the line. Haslem picked up number 4. He sits down, replaced by Antoine Walker. Houston now leads by 4. Miami has Jason Williams at the point. Williams and Wade at the guards. Walker with Simeon. And Posey up front on a holding foul. Payton will also check in. The foul is on Anderson. That's his first. Williams departs, replaced by Payton. Non-shooting foul. For Miami, it is game 1 of a 4-game homestand. They play 6 of their next 7 here in Miami. Contrast to the Rockets, who are opening up a 5-game road trip in a very difficult stretch.
This is big for Miami because they need to win these home games, especially without Shaq. Because if they went on the road without Shaq, it's tough enough that he's not here playing the games while he's home.
Good play by Bowen on the steal. Howard trying to find position on Walker. Now Juwan Howard swinging around. Antoine Walker. Gal could not get to it. Posey does. Payton using the screen. Now Payton posting up on Alston. Ball movement by Miami. Wade for 3. Handled by Bowen.
A rare three-point attempt from Dwayne Wade. And as we mentioned, he's not shooting the ball well tonight. I'd prefer to see him put the ball on the floor and keep attacking.
Or posting up. You know, he's had success on the post tonight.
Anderson way off. Kept alive by Alston. Shot clock down to 3. That did not hit the rim. Alston, and it's a 24-second violation.
As your point guard, you got to recognize when you got 5 seconds left on the shot clock, you got to get the ball up early. You got the biggest man on the planet, height-wise, down low for hopefully a second chance opportunity. When you drive in there, get it on the rim. He's had success.
I don't think he was aware of the shot clock. It looked like Anderson's shot might have grazed the rim, but Alston, I guess, thought it did, and obviously it didn't.
Here's Payton. Miami's gone scoreless the last 3.5 minutes. Houston with the ball. They lead by 4 in the first of our TNT doubleheader. Nice pass from Bowen to get it inside to Yao, who is fouled. Coming up in our second game, it's Detroit at Phoenix. How about the Pistons, coached by Flip Saunders, off to a 4-0 start. Stan Van Gundy just hit up with a technical foul. Simeon committed the personal, his 4th. So Stan Van Gundy teed up. 2:46 to go in the third. Rockets have a 4-point lead. Well, 2 of the new additions to the Miami Heat.
All the speculation coming into the season was, could Walker and Williams be complementary players on this Miami Heat team? All of a sudden, they're seen yelling at each other. That's why it's an issue.
Well, you know, it happens all the time on every different level in every different sport. T.O. and Donovan McNabb. But, you know, if that had been Dwayne Wade yelling at Udonis Haslem, no one would have said anything because, you know, they have a history with one another. As you said, it's a big story because they're trying to see if they can fit in.
Wade off the steal, finding Posey, throws it, but Mourning is there. Although that was pretty demonstrative. I mean, how often do you see 2 guys get involved like that in full view on the court? I understand where things happen. I mean, look at Steve and the rest of the staff. Constantly going at each other, pushing and shoving.
But I just usually just mutter things under my breath. So,
a lot of muttering.
But he was very demonstrative, too much so, I think, and that drew attention to the whole scene.
Almost like there was some type of history, like some underlining problem has been going on.
And a blocking foul is called. Antoine Walker landed on his knee.
And that's the last person that needs to get injured for these Heat. You know, Antoine was brought here for occasions like this. When Shaq was hurt last year, they needed more offensive scoring. He comes, Posey comes, Jay Will comes. Now if he gets hurt, they're really going to be in a bind because they can't let all the offensive pressure come on Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, I mean, Wade is obviously their main guy, but the reason that Pat Riley brought Williams and Antoine Walker to this team was what happened in the playoffs last year. Dwayne Wade goes out with the injury. All of a sudden, they don't have anybody else who can create a play from the perimeter. That guy certainly can, and we know Walker can. So the idea is to make it all fit. Obviously, that remains to be seen until Shaq comes back and this team gets 15 or 20 games under its belt.
And the foul was called on Ryan Bowen. See the injury rundown. Miami can certainly use Michael Goliak out with the calf injury. Shandon Anderson is out. And the Heat struggling at the line. 7 of 14 at the line. Yao Ming getting a rest with just under 2 minutes to play in this third quarter. Houston with 7 unanswered. the biggest lead of the night for the Rockets. And the ball back to Miami.
I never liked that play. That's the play that Allen Iverson popularized in Philadelphia. You kind of run a guy off of multiple screens, but he's heading away from the basket. To me, it's a risky pass, and then once you catch it as a player, you're kind of at risk to travel because it's a difficult catch and pivot.
Wade stripped. Rafer Alston took it away. Crowd wanted to travel on David Wesley as he ran down that lead pass. Anderson, bad shot.
Ugly shot.
Walker. Wesley made him stop the dribble. Wade, jumper's been off all night long.
But when you have the advantage, quickness side on Derek Anderson, take the ball to the basket, or Stan Van Gundy needs to get him in the post. Right now, they're not using his strength, and his strength is taking the ball off the basket or posting up the smaller guards.
Well, give Houston some credit. They talked about containing penetration at halftime. They backed off Wade completely. Anderson staying in front of him.
Out of 45 seconds remaining in the third. Here's Posey for three. Houston up 61-58 with a half minute left in the third quarter.
This game is starting to look like it did the first 5 minutes, Steve. Real ugly with Derek Anderson finally getting one to go.
So that will count. And the foul is called.
A little back pick for Anderson, and you see him catch the ball down on the block, little bank. But you're right, Reggie. This is the game's kind of slowing down. It's they're running in muck out there, as Phil Jackson used to say.
Foul on Posey, and the rookie from Illinois, Luther and Head, will come on.
Well, at least Derek Anderson is being aggressive, understanding that T-Mac is out, maybe until Saturday. Yao is on the bench, getting a break. Where is the offense going to come from? Juwan Howard started the game pretty well. Derek Anderson is doing a good job of putting in the points for the Rockets.
Houston up by 6. They can hold on this final possession as Dwayne Wade works the clock down. The Rockets in the midst of a 10-2 run. Walker fires. Still time remaining on the clock. And a loose ball foul. The official Tony Brothers pointing at David Wesley.
Well, they had one to give, so it's not going to cost them free throws, but now they've got to defend these last 3.5 seconds. Try to maintain this 6-point lead heading into the fourth.
Stromile Swift checking in after an outstanding second quarter. This is his first appearance here in the third. He's defending on Wayne Simeon. 3.5 to go. Wade steps back and shoots and scores at the buzzer. They'll review it, but it appeared that he got it off on time.
Well, he was going left, so all his other previous shots from the outside, he was going right.
He's just one of those guys. He has a knack for the special play, and even on a night when he can't buy a jumper, you see him beat the shot clock buzzer. Absolutely.
Brothers coaching against each other. Bill and Cindy, very proud parents, trying to figure out how the two of them can both come out of here with a win. But with me, Bill Van Gundy. First of all, as a father, what are your thoughts watching this game tonight?
We just sit here and sort of fold our arms, sit on our hands, and just watch it and get through it.
As a former coach, what are your thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, my thoughts, nothing else, that they've done a pretty good job, the Rockets have on Dwayne, and they've gotten the ball inside, which is well, and the other way, I think that they finally got James Posey back out there, and he got a couple buckets. I think it's a pretty well-played game right now.
Marv mentioned 4 decades of coaching on your part. Do you give advice to your sons?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Well, you're able to coach both of them in college at Brookport. What separates the two?
Excuse me?
You coach both of them in college. What separates the two? How are they different?
As coaches, I think they're basically the same. Their personalities are different. Stan's much more an extrovert, and his feelings you can always see. He wears them out there, where Jeff is pretty stoic, and I don't think you're ever going to know too much about what Jeff's thinking and doing.
Jeff with the poker face, Stan already with the technical, right as Dad says. Back to you, Marv.
All right, thank you, Craig. Bill Van Gundy, the dad of Jeff and Stan. Foul is called on Antoine Walker, as Stan was teed up earlier.
Do you think Mr. Van Gundy was picking and choosing his words carefully up there?
Yeah, wasn't he?
That was a painful interview.
What a tough spot to be
Wow.
in as a parent. As he said, sitting on his hands and folding his arms.
Well, Stromile Swift at the line in the third quarter. The Rockets outscored the Heat 20-12, and they now lead by 8. It's their biggest lead of the night. 14-4 run by Houston. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Reggie Miller, and the man who provided us with the painful interview, Craig Sager. Shot clock down to 7. Here's Jason Williams for 3.
And he got the basketball down by his ankles from the pass out of the post from Gary Payton. Maybe this will get Jay Will going a little bit. You know, he's been struggling all year. I thought this would be a big game for him. He struggled, but hopefully that shot can get him going.
Oh, this is a big stretch here for Miami, playing without Dwayne Wade, trying to make up this deficit.
Barry pitches it out. Here's Wesley from downtown. David Wesley hits the 3. Steve, you mentioned earlier that he's come back from knee surgery, has not shot the ball particularly well.
Well, and his coach said he's cared too much. In other words, he's been a little fragile in terms of missing and worrying about missing. David Wesley just has to shoot, as all shooters do. Just shoot, let it fly. He's an excellent shooter. He'll get that stroke back.
Stromile Swift trying to pick up and help on Jason Williams. Good ball movement. Here is Williams for 3. Box out by Mutombo. Posey tried to tie him up, and back comes Head. Wesley wanted the shot. Stripped by Walker. Simeon, yes, Wayne Simeon, good-looking rookie. Played well last night in the loss to the Pacers. Stan Van Gundy says he's one of the most fundamentally sound big men that he's seen coming into the league. Swift forcing the issue and an offensive foul. That is number 4 on Stromile.
Oh, great play by Simmons. You see the advantage of a guy who stayed in college and learned how to play basketball. You see him spot up and hit the jumper on the semi-fast break with the feed from Williams. And then at the other end, he slides his feet, helps off of his own man, gets in front of Swift, takes the charge. This is a very well-schooled basketball player.
Oh, the steal by Barry. Barry to Swift.
And if you can jump as high as Stromile Swift can, you're supposed to dunk it.
You got to finish that.
Yeah, he was trying to finesse that.
Dwayne Wade right back, wanted a foul call. Well, Dwayne Wade hits the jumper to bring Miami within 4. Wade has 21, and the Rockets want to talk it over.
Well, the question for Houston, without Tracy McGrady, who's going to finish this game? How do you finish it? Can you close it out? And can you deal with this guy, Dwayne Wade, who's had a big night tonight?
Back in Miami, Jeff Van Gundy's Houston Rockets up by 4 with 8:40 to go in this fourth quarter. Jeff telling us earlier today that he feels his team just melts down in the fourth quarter. That's been one of the major problems.
Well, without McGrady, they're still trying to find themselves. Obviously, T-Mac is the guy who creates all the plays. And Reggie, I can't remember exactly what he called it. He said it's like that video. It's Rockets.
Girls Gone Wild, but he called it, which I'm surprised he's watching, Rockets Gone Wild.
Rockets Gone Wild.
Rockets Gone Wild in the fourth quarter, because trying to find players to close out games, it's the Rockets Gone Wild.
I have no idea.
For
I don't even know what he was talking about, to be honest. You might know the video. I don't personally, Reggie.
Since I'm the single one out of the bunch between you two, $9.99 at your local Houston stores. Rockets Gone Wild.
Foul on Mourning. I think Jeff just watches the commercials for late night TV. Shot clock down to 3. He does not realize it. Just did get it off on time. Miami with Jason Williams and Dwayne Wade and Gary Payton in a 3-guard alignment, along with Mourning and Haslam. Haslam playing with 4 fouls, Mourning with 4. Shot clock down to 4. Payton, yes. Gary Payton drills it to bring Miami within 2.
Well, great move by Payton to get into the paint and make something happen. But for Houston now, it's time to establish back that low post presence. Let's start going back to Yao.
But meanwhile, Alonzo Mourning, well rested. He looks like he's battling him again.
Swift with the step. Wade on the rebound. Miami with 6 unanswered. Payton. Box out by Wesley. Wesley finds head. Puts the move on Wade. Led by Mourning. Draws the foul. Nice play by the rookie.
Crafty play by a first-year guy, getting Alonzo Mourning to bite. You know he's going after the block shots. He's been doing it all night, and then drawing the foul. Big couple of free throws here for Luther Head.
And a correction, that is now number 4 on Alonzo Mourning. And national coverage of the NBA continues this week, tomorrow night on ESPN as the Lakers and the Sixers, followed by the Pistons and the Trailblazers. Coverage beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Saturday on NBA TV, it's the Spurs and the Wizards. Coverage starts 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
You know, the Rockets 11 for 20 from the free throw line. Both teams struggling. It's been both teams' Achilles heel all year in this early part of November. You get free ones, you got to knock them down.
That will count and the foul. That'll put Jason Williams at the line. And he can tie the game. So potential 3-point play. Swift called on the foul. That's number 5 on Stromile Swift.
Well, this is what drives Jeff Van Gundy crazy. He goes away from the screen, and yet they still can't get the help, and the Miami bench loves it. Heat putting on a full run here, trying to get back in this thing. He can tie it right here.
7 minutes to play in the 4th. Miami and Houston tied at 72.
Where's Yao Ming? Can we please establish a low post presence again?
There's Yao over Mourning. Rebounded by Haslam.
Look where Alonzo forced him, though. Early in the game, he was getting 2-3 feet away from the hoop. That time, he took about a 13-foot fadeaway.
Mourning getting position down low and then threw it away. Wesley able to pick it off.
Every time down the floor, they got to look for number 11 in red.
Mourning fronting Yao, who comes outside to set the pick. Wesley. Barry gets it inside. Shot clock at 5. Swift. I think he lost sight of the clock. And it's a 24-second violation.
Wasted possession right there. You know, Yao Ming, they're calling what's wearing Yao down a lot is being called out of the post to come set a pick and roll. If he doesn't get the ball on the swing and go over a pick and roll, if he's down on the post, throw him the basketball.
Well, and Alonzo Mourning has something to do with it. He's fronting, and you can see these guys are both extremely tired. Got to watch these final 6 minutes to see who can outlast the other one.
Williams! Jason Williams again. That's a 2-pointer. Miami leads 74-72. So the Heat able to come from behind. An 11-1 run by Miami. Play by Yao to keep it alive. Alston is wide open for 3. Yes. Great for Alston. The former Heat player has given Houston a 1-point advantage.
Well, if anyone knows these rims, they should be ready for Alston. He gave us fits a couple years back in the playoffs when I played for Indiana. His team taking us 6 games, and he was a big part of their success in the playoffs that Dwayne Wade's first year.
Here's Williams at the hot hand, rebounded by Yao. Alston, incidentally, 0 for 7 before that three-pointer.
It's a confident stroke, 0 for 7 in a close game late.
And Alston turns it over, so Miami will get it back. 5:03 to go in this fourth quarter. Houston up by 1. Rafer Alston. Skip to my Lou.
My darling.
Out of the schoolyards of New York. Yes, thank you.
Houston holding on to a 1-point lead. The Rockets being led by Yao Ming with 22 points.
Strong performance by Yao, who had been struggling last couple of games.
Concerned about the rebounding total tonight. His club has actually done a nice job, 44-38. That's, I think, what's kept them in this game.
Houston with their second team foul. Miami has 3. Shot clock down to 5. Haslam to the rim. Beautifully done by Udonis Haslam.
Right by Yao Ming, too. Yao came out somewhat on the switch, and I think Udonis Haslam did a good job of taking Yao off the dribble. He wasn't going to block that shot because he was a step behind him.
Miami up by a point. There's Alston. He fires it up. Actually lost the handle. And Williams in the open floor. Rockets able to get back.
What luxury is it having a player like T-Mac who's hurt tonight in situations like this to take over games? This is what Coach Jeff Van Gundy was worried about. Rockets gone wild because they had no one to put the ball in the basket. They've gone away from Yao.
And I think Alonzo has taken Yao out of the game a little bit with his aggressive defense, but you're right. How do they score? Who's going to close the game out for them?
Shot clock down to 5. Yao comes out to set the screen. Takes it back from Anderson. And it's a 24-second violation. It will not count. And the Rockets with their second shot clock violation in this fourth quarter.
It is expending and taking too much energy, Steve, for Yao, especially when he has, and I know Zoe is playing him physical right now, but Zoe is so tired right now, he can make those quick moves that he was making baseline in the first half on Alonzo. It's taking too much time and energy for Yao to come out instead of pick and roll.
Here's Wade drawing the double. Haslam gets inside. Shot clock down to 5. Wade to the pull-up. Yes! Wade extends the Miami lead to 78-75, and the Rockets call for time. Wade is 23. We're down to 3:09 remaining in this fourth quarter.
Well, it's been a tough night from the perimeter for Dwayne Wade, but he has found the range here in the fourth quarter. The pull-up over Derek Anderson, Miami by 3.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, so I definitely respect Rip Hamilton's game.
Take a shot at him, Rick.
No, of course not.
And here's Yao Ming. Yao's been very quiet, scoreless the last 17 minutes. He cuts the Miami lead down to 1. Richard Hamilton and his Detroit Pistons in the second of our doubleheader against the Phoenix Suns. Pistons at 4-0 off to the fast start. Whistle away from the ball, and the foul is called on Anderson. That's his second for the Rockets, their third team foul.
Well, good coaches always come up with something out of the timeout. Reggie, you've been talking about Yao's poor position offensively. Jeff Van Gundy calling a great play on that last possession. He gets positioned down low, easy jump hook over Mourning.
2.5 minutes to play in the fourth. Wade showing confidence, coming up short, but handled by Haslam, and they get the new shot clock.
Calling for a high pick and roll right here for Dwayne Wade, going left.
Gives it up to Jason Williams for 3.
You have to force Dwayne Wade to go right. If he goes left, he's going to score for himself or find somebody.
81-77 Miami by virtue of the catch and shoot by Williams. And Yao is held from behind. How about Jason Williams? 13 points, 10 of the 13 coming in this fourth quarter.
Well, this is what you were talking about, Reggie. You've got to send Wade to the right, especially when the screen is coming from the right. He goes away from the screen, forcing Rafer Alston to come and help out of the corner. That's the easiest three-point shot in the game. It's shorter, 22 feet even. You can't give up that easy corner three.
Foul on Alonzo Mourning. That is fifth. 2 minutes to play in the fourth. The Heat with a 4-point lead.
Here's the play we were talking about before the break. Now, Houston wants to send Wade right and into the screen. You'll see the screen coming from Haslam from the right-hand side. Anderson lets Wade go to the opposite side where there's no help other than Rafer Alston. All the help was on the other side of the floor. Big night for Dwayne Wade. And you look at the numbers on a poor shooting night. This is what superstar players do. He still manages to shoot 10 for 22, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and the big number, just 2 turnovers. Look at the hitting the floor.
That's the biggest number. He only hit the floor 4 times in a 48-minute game.
You're saying they should have knocked him down a little bit more?
I'm saying that commercial's a fraud. That's what I'm saying. Get knocked down 7, get up 8.
Should be 4 and 5, I guess.
All right, here's Anderson for 3, coming up short, and he has continued to struggle with an outside shot. 5 of 16 shooting for Derek Anderson. Miami with the ball. They lead by 4 with 1:40 remaining in the fourth quarter. Wade back to Williams. He's been on fire. The long rebound is gathered in by Payton, and they have a new clock.
This place would have went crazy if Jason Williams would have hit that, and I think that would have done wonders for his confidence, even though he's still having a good game.
Houston has a foul to give. Miami using the clock. Mourning over Yao. Big bucket for Alonzo Mourning, extending to a 6-point Miami lead. We're coming up on a minute remaining in the fourth quarter. Now trying to establish position. Mourning is playing with the 5 fouls. And here is Yao coming up short, rebounded by Haslam. A good run here by the Heat, concluding matters in the fourth quarter. They've outscored Houston over the last couple of minutes, 9-2, and a standing ovation for Miami. The Heat looking to even up the season record at 3-3. Shot clock down to 4, down to 3. Wade with a runner, and rebounded by Anderson. 3-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Anderson is fouled by Haslam. Nice change of pace by Anderson, who will go to the line. That's 5 on Haslam.
Guys, how about the play of Alonzo Mourning tonight here? He has played terrific defense all night, but how he hits the shot of the game. 6 seconds on the shot clock, holds the follow-through up there, points to the heavens, kisses the fist. He does it all, but his play tonight, I think, has been the difference. He's battled Yao Ming the entire game. Remember how dominant Yao was in the first half. The second half, he's been very quiet because of Alonzo Mourning's physical play. I think he wore him down.
13 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocked shots for Mourning.
But those 3 block shots look like they were 6 block shots, because 2 of them were monstrous attempts by Stramal Swift that was blocked to the heavens. You pointing to the heavens. They were blocked to the heavens.
Yes, Alonzo setting the tone in that department. Timeout is called by the Heat. So Miami takes a timeout as Wade was having difficulty inbounding. Miami has 1 full timeout left. Rockets have a full and a 20, as you see, 22 and 7/10 seconds to go. And Miami with the ball, leading 83-79. Coming up, the Pistons and the Suns. That's the second of our TNT doubleheader.
Reggie, you talked earlier about the importance of Miami winning games without Shaq. I think it's even more important for Houston to get off to a good start here, and playing without McGrady in particular. We talked about the 5-game road trip. They've got 10 road games in their next 12 outings. Remember, they're in the same division as San Antonio. They're probably not going to win the division, which means the best seed they can get in the playoffs is the number 4 seed. A year ago, they got off to the slow start, finished strongly, but couldn't get to the 5th seed. You look at the schedule coming up. Another slow start could relegate Houston to having to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs. I think this is a big stretch here in the next couple weeks for Houston.
Well, someone had to lose. Wishak and T-Mac, both teams struggling. Someone had to lose tonight. But it really shows on Houston's side how bad they missed T-Mac. They missed their closer. They missed their finisher. And they didn't have that tonight.
Payton throws to the backcourt to Jason Williams. Rockets try to foul. They cannot reach. Finally, Luther Head grabbing Dwayne Wade to stop the clock with 17 and 10 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Miami only 8 of 15 at the line. That was the foul to give. And the next one would put the Rockets over the limit, which means foul shots for the Heat.
They'd like to get the ball back in Dwayne Wade's hands. He's not a great foul shooter, but he's strong with the ball, 72%. They're going to look for him now, and he's going to go to the line here.
Now he's fouled by Yao Ming.
I always thought it was such a luxury to play with Michael Jordan late in games. Not only was he an excellent foul shooter, but he was so big and strong that it was easy to get the ball into him. And I think Miami has the same luxury with Dwayne Wade. You never see Miami really struggle to get the ball in because Wade, just so physically strong and quick, always makes himself available for the pass.
Yao picking up number 4. Wade is now 4 of 5 at the line, and Miami leads by 5.
And the thing about it is players like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, they want the ball in crunch time. The game's on the line. They want the ball at the free throw line to ice it.
I know I'd throw you in that category. I don't know about Kenny, but they can talk about that.
A little shot from three-point land.
It's all in fun, Marv. Kenny knows that. He may not react that way, but he knows it.
25 points for Dwayne Wade. Pistons and Suns next, second of our TNT doubleheader, followed by inside the NBA, and I have a feeling that Kenny the Jet will lash back.
He's got diagrams, graphics, statistics. He's lining them all up right now.
I think that's my BlackBerry. I think that's Kenny.
Miami up 85-79 on their way to a record of 3-3 in this game one of a 4-game homestand, while Houston will drop to 1-3 and it's game one of a 5-game road trip. But on the positive side for Jeff Van Gundy and the Rockets, they are looking to the return of Tracy McGrady, and it may take place in their next game, which would be against the Nets on Saturday night.
And even though Van Gundy's not into moral victories, this team played hard tonight. They played with a lot of energy. They played well in spurts. There were some encouraging signs.
I'm just wondering if they're going to crack 80. They got 79 right here.
Can't find a shot. Finally, Anderson does and hits from downtown. It's a 3-point game, and Payton is fouled, tripped up. Fans want a flagrant with 4.2 remaining.
That's in college. You're not going to get that in the pros. It was an accident. He got tangled up.
Houston just scrambling, trying to find an open look, and somehow Derek Anderson creates enough space to get that 3 off. And then, of course, Miami just getting the ball inbounds as quickly as possible, and a little shove from Anderson.
Maybe the feet did get him tangled up. Maybe that was a push.
Payton is 2 for 2 at the line. And Miami now 11 of 18 at the free throw line. Just go Miles Swift checking back in. Rockets do have a full timeout remaining. And they take it. So 4.2 seconds to go in the fourth. Miami up by 5.
Marv?
All right, thanks, Ernie. 4.2 seconds remaining of this one. Miami by 5. Barry looks to inbound. There's Anderson. He's the quick shot. Will not matter. Well, he's fouled. Fouled by Payton with 1 7/10 seconds to go. Not a good foul.
And they're saying it's a 3, which, no, if it's a foul, he was not shooting the basketball.
Now, this is the question. Is it 2 free throws or 3? You look, Anderson, little pump fake. I don't think he was shooting. But they're going to give him 3 shots.
Wow, that's what Payton was upset about. So Anderson on the line for 3, 4 out of 5 at the free throw line.
Payton can complain all he wants, but you can't reach in on that play. And now the point is moot. But you can't even risk a foul. You've got to just make him go ahead and make a 3 in that situation.
Absolutely. I think it's, looking back on it, he's a little bit upset about it. You better be careful he doesn't get a technical right here to compound it. It could easily have been a 4-point play if Derek Anderson would have made all his free throws and Gary would have got a tech.
And he is a good free throw shooter, career-wise 85%. Houston has struggled at the line, as has Miami. Rockets now 15 of 26 at the line. Anderson has 19 points, although he has not shot well. So hits 2 of 3. It's a 3-point game. Rockets, well, they foul immediately, and that'll put Payton at the line with 1 second to go. Rockets do not have any timeouts left. High point men, Dwayne Wade, 25. Alonzo Mourning, 13 with 9 rebounds, 3 blocks. Jason Williams, 13 points, hit 2 clutch threes down the stretch. And Yao Ming with 24 and 14 to lead the way for Houston.
Well, these games are excruciating for the coaches, aren't they? I mean, if you're Stan Van Gundy, you're begging Gary Payton to make 1 free throw. If he doesn't, we saw Zoran Planinic with New Jersey the other day throw in about a 70-foot heave. I mean, it can happen.
Yes, it can happen. Unlikely, but it can happen. I've seen funnier things.
Well, Payton,
we just jinxed them.
He's 4 of 5 at the line. 1 second remaining. Miami by 3, and Payton hits 1 of 2, and that will do it as Swift fires it down, and Miami has won it 88-84, thanks to our producer Scooter Bertino, director Renardo Lowe. Coming up following a quick break, we'll bring you Game 2 of our TNT NBA doubleheader, the Pistons and the Suns from Phoenix. So for Steve Kerr, Reggie Miller, Craig Sager, and our entire crew, I'm Marv Albert saying good night from Miami. The Heat evening up their season record at 3-3. Rockets fall to 1 up and 3 down. Good night, everybody.
Hey, what's up, Houston and Miami? What kind of party is it, Kenny?
Well, it's a dunk party right now.
It was a block party briefly.
It's a dunking party right now.
Watch Yao go to work right here.
Hey, Yao Ming, he started off great.
Great first half.
Ran out of gas.
Yao does not look
The little yellow light was on?
That yellow light was on at $3 a gallon. Couldn't get no more gas. Ran out.
Look at Dwayne Wade at the end of the third. Pulls him within 3 at 64-61.
And Ernie, he's having an MVP type season too. You know, if it wasn't for Kobe playing great, he'd probably be leading in that.
Yeah, Kobe's on another planet.
Yeah.
We have that, what's our thing, NBA planet? Kobe's on it.
Kobe got his own planet.
Miami, with that jumper by Williams there, they finally got the other role players to play well.
Big shot.
Grant played good. Gary Payton played good. Mourning played good. So the role players really helped Miami to a victory tonight.
The Heat win 88-84. Alonzo Mourning, 13 points, 9 rebounds. It's an 88-84 Miami win. How about the Rockets when you look at them? When they're at full strength, if you got Tracy McGrady in that mix, where do they rank as far as you go in the Western Conference?
Well, they're definitely second behind San Antonio. I think that now, can they really, first of all, shut San Antonio down defensively, and then will they be able to find another guy, another scorer who can step up to the plate? Because you need 3 scores, legitimate scores, every night to really hang with a team like San Antonio. And who's going to be that guy who's going to consistently give them 15 to 20 a night?
But Magic, you know, being on championship teams, it's a swagger that you believe that you are that next champion. And having that swagger going in each night, knowing that we're going after the championship, and there's a term of playing to win or playing for a championship. Right. And Houston right now, I'm not sure if they're playing to win or play for a championship. And there's a difference between winning 55 games and being happy with that.
Well, if you start from the coach down, nobody on the team has ever won anything.
That's my point.
So that's your problem right there. So you got a major problem in terms of who can teach them how to have that swagger and to win the championship.
Yao 24 and 14 tonight. The other guys scoring 20 points for Derek Anderson, but 6 out of 17 from the floor. Houston won its opener against the Kings. They have not won since. They've lost 3 in a row now, and they fall tonight 88-84. Stan Van Gundy now 3-2 against brother Jeff Van Gundy.
You know, Yao Ming when you watch him play, man, he got great moves, up and unders, fadeaways, jump hooks, got great feet. You know, it's just frustrating a guy to be that talented. You wonder if he got that mean streak in him. You know, they bought Patrick Ewing in last year to put a mean streak in him. I don't think you can bring anybody in.
I mean, what percent of how good can he be have we seen at this point?
Well, it depends. He got the game. It doesn't matter if he got that bulldog mentality. Ernie, all great players got a mean, nasty streak. And right now, he's really talented. And you see him sometimes, he's so aggressive. And then the rest of the time, like tonight, he was fantastic the first half. And then he went like 17 minutes and didn't score. That's impossible. And first of all, especially, he should be going crazy with Tracy McGrady at the game now. He should be getting 30 points a night. He should get 25 with Tracy McGrady. But without Tracy McGrady, he should be just be demanding the ball. Nice kid. You wonder if he's going to develop that little nasty streak.
Yeah, can you develop that? Or is that something you already have to have and just turn it on when you need it?
You really have to have it. You know what the problem is that he has the problem of all European players but Ginobili. Ginobili to me is the only guy who's come over here.
So kind of passive.
Yeah, and if you smack him, he's going to smack you back. Other than that, every other
in
one.
terms of fighting and in terms of scoring on you or defense and or assist.
And talk trash too.
Like it's not physical fighting,
no,
but it's a physical play.
That's right.
The two guys who I like to watch play are Ginobili and Andre Kirilenko. And what to compound these guys' point, if you knock them down when they come to the basket, they're coming back.
That's right.
Coming back.